The what?
The absence of a father shapes male violence. With key points, father absence disrupts how boys internalize authority, limits, and emotional regulation. Gangs often replace missing father figures by offering structure, belonging, and identity. Consistent adult presence can prevent violence even in the absence of biological fathers.
So what?
Interestingly, within a restorative justice program, individuals convicted of serious offenses were invited to confront the human meaning of the harm they caused. In one situation, due to father absence and a revolving door of men who also left children with empty promises, grief, and confusion about what authority, protection, and masculinity were supposed to look like. His story emerged not as an excuse for violence, but as a reflection shaped through accountability. Now, father absence today reflects a global reality affecting millions of boys. It rarely appears as a single clear rupture. More often, it takes the form of instability, intermittent presence, and repeated abandonment. Research shows that this kind of inconsistency disrupts emotional security and increases vulnerability to external influences, particularly during adolescence. Father absence is often discussed in emotional terms, yet its deeper psychological impact lies in the loss of structure. A stable father figure contributes to the internalization of limits, responsibility, and emotional containment. When that figure is absent or unreliable, boys struggle to develop an internal framework for authority and self-regulation. This does not automatically produce violence, but it increases susceptibility to environments that promise structure quickly. Empirical studies show that inconsistent paternal involvement weakens attachment security and emotional regulation, both of which protect against later externalizing behavior. Without internalized structure, boys often seek external systems that impose order from the outside. This search for structure is not pathological. It reflects a developmental need for containment and meaning. The danger emerges when the only available structures reward dominance, silence vulnerability, and equate power with worth. The most destabilizing form of father absence is not disappearance, but emotional inconsistency. The absent present father enters a child's life briefly, assumes symbolic authority, and then vanishes. For a child, this pattern fractures identity development. The title of father becomes unstable, interchangeable, and unreliable. Research consistently shows that boys without stable paternal figures rely more heavily on peer validation during adolescence. Identity formation shifts outwards, increasing the appeal of groups that offer recognition and belonging without emotional vulnerability. In this context, distorted models of masculinity find fertile ground. Gang membership offers what father absence removes: clear expectations, role modeling, and a sense of power. Research on gang-involved men demonstrates that fatherhood, masculine identity, and violence are deeply intertwined, with gangs frequently filling the void left by absent fathers. The problem is not belonging itself, but the moral framework attached to it. Loyalty replaces conscience, and violence becomes proof of worth. Studies indicate that boys lacking paternal stability show a higher risk for impulsivity and risk-taking, particularly when alternative male models reinforce aggression. The gang rewarded emotional suppression and punished hesitation. These dynamics gradually solidified into identity. This trajectory transcends geography. Across urban environments worldwide, similar patterns emerge. Boys drawn to gangs often seek structure, affirmation, and male recognition rather than crime itself. Crime becomes the currency through which belonging is earned. Father's absence does not determine destiny. Many boys grow up without fathers and do not engage in violence. The difference lies in whether alternative stable figures provide consistency, boundaries, and emotional modeling. Coaches, teachers, mentors, and extended family can partially fulfill this role when they offer continuity rather than control. The global crisis of father absence is not a moral indictment of families, but a psychological challenge that societies continue to underestimate. When boys grow up without stable male containment, they will seek it elsewhere. Gangs succeed where families and institutions fail to provide structure, recognition, and continuity. Reducing male violence requires more than enforcement. It requires investment in relational stability, responsible fatherhood, and accessible male mentorship. Boys like Camilo do not need harsher punishment. They need earlier presence, consistent structure, and models of masculinity that translate power into responsibility. Violence is not the starting point of this story, it is the outcome. Addressing father absence at its psychological roots remains one of the most effective paths toward long-term prevention.
Now what?
Now, don't source any old man. I would never advise that. But as we heard, mentors and coaches and things of the sort, pastors, grandfathers, uncles, etc. A man that can exemplify stability, structure, and authority. Not all nuclear homes are built with foundation. A father can be presently in the home and still absent. Must do the work.